The first thing that I want people who come to the home to notice is how intentional the decor is and the feeling of the home. Everything from the plaster on the walls and some of the design choices that feels very much intentional. Hi, I'm KV Harper, and this is my renovation story in New Orleans, Louisiana. I chose this home honestly because of the price. I was looking for something that I could renovate within my budget, something that was historical, and as I was looking online, this house sort of came up and ticked all of those boxes with budget, some history to it as well. No one knows exactly when the house was built, but the earliest tax records go back to the 1920s. The house is located in the 7th Ward. The 7th Ward has historical significance, not only for New Orleans, but for the US in general. It is one of the first neighborhoods for free people of color. So when people were able to leave enslavement, either by purchasing their freedom and even after the Civil War, this was one of the first neighborhoods that they came to. Before the renovation, the house had vinyl flooring, white walls, the windows were boarded up. It didn't have a lot of the historical detail showing. So we're in the front room of the house. It is the first area you see when you walk in. This is the bench where we kind of sit down and take off our shoes in our normal day-to-day. And then also when we have visitors, it's kind of a good place for them to get settled and then take off their jackets. When I first renovated the house, this wall was white and it just felt wrong to have a white wall in the house. So I used a plaster paint and then also another piece of artwork to sort of bring your eye to as well. I try to place artwork that when you come in, it catches the eye. I love art and it's such a big piece of design. So I always try to place it where it is in line of sight entering the home or entering a room. And then this piece of artwork, what drew me to it was the colors and the woman in the photo, kind of her glare and look. It kind of feels like it takes that traditional portrait, and so it feels like very historic, but also very modern. So this barge board was found in the house, under the house, and we just repurposed it to frame out the opening that bring the two rooms together. My line of work, I am the principal and founder of Kex Design and Build. We are an architectural and interior design firm here in New Orleans. I use my house a lot as inspiration for my clients' homes. A lot of my clients find me because, they've seen my home before. We are in our living room. The treatment on the wall is a concrete base. It's actually the first base that you would use in a traditional plaster. It just has not been colored. The photos on the wall are W.E. Du Bois's infographics, and then there's also a photo of W.B. Du Bois. And here's one of the fireplaces that we were able to restore. And so this is a reclaimed fireplace mantle. This is the original plaster on the fireplace, and then also a very random photo of A.P. Turo, who is a civil rights leader from New Orleans. When I started to renovate the house, I really kind of delved into the history of the 7th Ward and of the people who lived here, not only when the house was built and after the Civil War, but also, recent, even in the 70s, and things that have happened in the neighborhood up until now. And so I wanted to have nods to that. My approach to curating pieces for the home was that it was not a sprint, it was a marathon, which is now kind of a popular saying in the design community. And I tell clients as well, especially for design projects, it's like when you find something that you love, you get it. And if you don't love it, don't buy it. That's been my approach to really only get things that I feel passionate about. This artwork is the piece that I had commissioned by Khalif Thompson. When I had the work commissioned, I just talked to him about my love of, or really what I loved about New Orleans and specifically like this neighborhood. And so this is what he came up with, sort of using different aspects. You have kind of a trumpet, which is kind of a play to jazz, and different textures and different historical dates. It is definitely one of my favorite pieces, and it has probably one of the more prominent spaces in the house. So these theater chairs came from a segregated theater from Jim Crow era that had been preserved. So I bought them kind of just as a nod to our history as a country and our history as a city. And then painting using another young African artist, kind of having it juxtaposed between the yellow of the stadium chairs and then all the different colors that are used in the painting of this couple. I would describe my home in 3 words as historic, welcoming, and lovely. Historical because it is, and welcoming because that's what I want people to feel, and lovely because that's what I feel about it. I love medallions in historic homes. Unfortunately, a lot of historic homes, when they were renovated in the 70s or the 80s, the medallions were removed. And so that was the case in this house as well. So these are actually reproduction medallions. So this bathroom is the bathroom that's adjacent to our living room. We wanted to keep that same sort of texture on the wall that you see in the living room, but then also kind of have some historic elements. So we have kind of a refurbished sink and wall-mounted faucets, and we use the copper in here because I thought it would work really well against our kind of cement plaster texture and color. And then the same for the faucets. We just kind of continued with the shower, doing a nice copper on the shower heads. So the tile is just kind of a nod to the Spanish influence on New Orleans. So I wanted to kind of have something that spoke to the Spanish architecture, and so having Spanish style tile kind of did the trick. So the paint color on the wall, we actually had this color in our living room for a while. We went with the lighter marine blue, but this is an Anchors Away blue. And I kind of like using dark colors with black and copper. I think it gives it sort of a sophistication, especially in a small space. So this archway was new. It actually goes into a different part of the house. We did some renovations during COVID and wanted to combine parts of the two units of our shotgun double. And so we created a little archway here, knocked down the wall. This is a new door. It's solid wood, and it's also historically accurate for a panel, and then also using a historically accurate Victorian keyhole there. And now we are in our kitchen. So we have reclaimed wood on our countertops, and then also still using like a dark green on our tile. And we brought back the barge board that was original to the house and made some open shelving for it as well. And then for our dining table, this was handmade by a local New Orleans carpenter. And so I just told him I needed like a 96-inch table and do whatever you need to do. And this is what he came back with. So it's great. I think having a young family, having an eat-in kitchen is always nice because we can just cook and then come straight and have dinner or have breakfast, which is really, really nice. Before you had full cooking glass, you would have usually brick in your kitchen to stop the spread of fire, because you usually be cooking on open flames inside. And so that's just kind of a nod to history in terms of bringing some brick back into the kitchen. I went with simplicity for this room, only because like it's not an extravagant kitchen. It's a very simple kitchen using a lot of refurbished materials. So I didn't want anything really in the room that would call a lot of attention to it, because like historically kind of a simple kitchen, you wouldn't have a very, big expensive lighting. So just having something simple that really utilitarian, that's just kind of doing the job. So this is our bar area. It's right off the kitchen. It's a great place to have friends over and have drinks. So the wood on the shelf is a reclaimed wood as well. Kind of styled the bar with our favorite drinks, and then just kind of a nod to New Orleans music with Louis Armstrong, Mahalia Jackson, and Frida, and Lil Wayne and the light board there. And then for the actual construction of the bar, so we use reclaimed wood for the top, and then these on the front of the bar is waterproof boards. So those are just some that we had extra as well to sort of give it a little neutral color. And then the stools are restaurant bar stools that I happened to find online, and I kind of just like the idea of having a little dark green color. I think dark green usually feels historical. I hope my design choices say that I love color. I like kind of mixing things of formal and informal. I use my home as really a template for how I view design in terms of respecting history and bringing in elements that really sort of speak to the home. Give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to HGTV Handmade for more before and afters like this.